How to draw a snake's tongue. I've done this many a time in video. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing it so you can make your snake kind of look like the tongue's moving a bit. Get out a piece of paper, a pencil, like a 2B, 4B or a 3B, maybe an eraser, and a marker pen. Let's have a go at this. Okay, having a look at a few samples here I've drawn before. You can see sometimes it's just like a bent letter Y. Simple when you're doing a snake that size. Bit closer, sometimes I'll wiggle that around a bit, move it up or down. What you do notice about snakes is that when they have their mouth open, usually you don't see the tongue. It hides under that windpipe there. Here's a picture of a snake attacking. Again, you see the windpipe there, the tongue's sliding underneath that. So having a look at the tattoo style, usually when the mouth's open, they have the tongue out because it kind of looks cool, and they often have it big and long and crazy. And in this logo I've done here, same thing, got the tongue out just kind of because it looks cool. So let's get into drawing a few. So like the letter Y out there with a bit of a bend there, and what I'm going to do, I'll just ink that in. So I'm just going around the outside of the lines I've made. Make the one closest to you a bit bigger. Always make the forked bit, the one that's closest to you, just slightly bigger. A bit of perspective always looks good. So now, what about a rattlesnake? A rattlesnake tongue comes out and sits right up here on top of their head before it goes back in. So the way the tongue works is always flickering in and out to analyze the air. Again, you see how I've made the fork bit closest to us a little bit bigger than the one behind. Adding this little bit of extra perspective will make it look a little bit more dynamic. And again, going over it with the marker pen. Just going around the outside. Let's try a different tongue. Let's try one that's kind of moving. There's a few different ways to making a tongue look like it's moving. So I'll go this one first. It's wiggling a bit. It's a bit blurry at the ends. So they flicker out, they flicker back in, and they touch the roof of their mouth where they have the Jacobson's organ, and they analyze what they've just tasted. Now here, going the outline to a point, and darken that in. I'm just going to do like a dotted or dashed sort of line there, and put a couple of marks around to indicate a little bit of movement. That's where it's trying to analyze something far away from it. Okay, let's do that sort of that cool tattooy look, which might be what you're after when you're drawing a snake tongue. Kind of the fun thing about it's exaggerated. It kind of goes up almost a bit like flames. So you choose which bit's forward and which bit's back, and the forward one is a little bit bigger. The little fork is closer to you, it's bigger. So let's go over this. Now a lot of them don't, in the tattoo world, don't have that windpipe there, but I like to shove it there just because a little taste of realism. Just quick outlines, all you need. And we're ready to go for another tongue. This time we're going to do the tongue flickering up and down really fast. So a few lines like that and like that. You can see that's all over the place. So we're going to make it up there like that. So when we come to ink it, the tongue that's upwards, that's the actual tongue, and the other is kind of like the blur the tongue creates. So I'll put a line down here, and that makes it look like it's flickering up and down really fast. Gives it some kind of movement. Let's do a really big one. Say you want to do like a great big gigantic monstrous python or a monster. Something with a big giant tongue that's flickering down. So let's just, a bit like an anaconda here. Giant snake here. And let's just draw a little cartoon person down here looking a bit worried. There you go, just a quick cartoon. Looks a bit scared. Now, when you're going to draw this tongue, it's coming out and it's going down and then pointing to what it wants to eat or what it's trying to work out. And that can kind of look menacing because the head's up and the tongue's going down. That can give a feel of menace for the poor little thing that's possibly going to get eaten. Like I said, if you want to do a giant snake, this would probably be at least one of the tongues you might draw if you was doing a comic of a giant monster with a snake tongue, occasionally coming down like that. So there's a bunch of different ways of drawing tongues. Let's just recap on probably the simplest way of drawing a tongue. So I'll just draw another quick, more cartoony one here. Letter Y, capital letter Y, laying on the side. But even if you're going to do it simple like this, make sure that the one that's closest to you is nice and solid, just slightly, ever so slightly bigger. And that is how to draw snake tongues. Hope that was useful. So now that you've done that, you could possibly use this technique to create demons and monsters and big lizards, all sorts of things. Just have a bit of fun with it. Just chuck that on a few things. Maybe also check out how I draw snakes' eyes in the description below. There's a few videos there. Just keep drawing. It's a lot of fun. Catch you in the next video.